So the Pittsburgh Steelers finished the preseason undefeated. What does that mean for the Steelers going into the regular season? We're going to talk about the game yesterday against the Detroit Lions and who I think showed up, who I didn't, and who won that starting quarterback position. Please hit that like and subscribe button. Don't forget to ring that notification bell. That way you don't miss any of our daily content and our weekly lives. Yesterday was the first time we did a watch party. It was fun. It was me and Mark Davison from Steelers Nation Australia. I encourage you guys to go back and watch that. If you're want to listen to this on just the audio side only, we are on Spotify, Anchor, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, anywhere you find your podcasts. Please go out there, find us, and give us a 5-star review on Apple. With that being said, guys, I'm Daniel J. This is State of the Steelers, and welcome to the Huddle. So the Pittsburgh Steelers went into this game fairly healthy and didn't leave so the same. So there was a couple of injuries to talk about. The first one's going to be Diontae Johnson, who laid out for a long pass there by Mitch Trubisky on the corner there, down the sideline, I'm sorry. And amazing catch, amazing pass. Mike Tomlin came after the game and described Diontae Johnson as an injury that if this was a regular season game, he probably would have gone back in. That's good to know. It doesn't seem like it's serious. Also, there was an injury to TJ Watt. That one don't seem to be serious. It appeared more serious when, watching it live in game, on TV, whatever you want to say. The defender did a cut block on TJ Watt, kind of hit his knee in an awkward position. It could have been a lot worse for the Pittsburgh Steelers and TJ Watt. Fortunately, like Coach T said at the end of the game, it's going to be a situation where it's not going to be it's not a serious, it's bumps and bruises associated with the type of physical play that the Pittsburgh Steelers play. Damontae Kazee, however, on the other hand, that's a different story. It appeared, watching it, he may have had some type of broken arm or wrist. He was seen in a air cast after leaving the tent. I don't know where the break happened. If you watch the game, the play, the defender or the person with the ball jumps over Kazee. He initially hits the ball carrier with the injured arm, or would be the injured arm, on the knee, and then he collides on the floor with that arm. So it had two collisions there in that same play, and it's one of those things that's unfortunate because the Pittsburgh Steelers, I think, were anticipating using Kazee a lot this year. I think the Steelers were anticipating putting in a 3-safety set. Not saying that they can't. Not saying that it's not going to be that we're not going to see Kazee in some form of cast or something like that out there. It's just, his ability, his ball playing skills, the ball hawking ability is going to probably be a little bit diminished as far as the skills go until his hand or arm is completely healthy and ready to go. But injuries are a part of the game and you have to move on. Now, in my opinion, the most significant injury that was out there, and it's one that's not going to haunt the Pittsburgh Steelers right now, it's TJ Watt. And the reason being is Alex Highsmith didn't participate, and he hasn't participated in any preseason games this year, but he didn't participate again. And behind TJ Watt, you have Derek Tuska, you have Scott. There's some other guys that are a little bit unknown. I think the depth there is extremely worrisome. And if TJ Watt were to go down for any significant amount of time, that's going to be disastrous for the Pittsburgh Steelers defense. There needs to be a splash move made in the outside linebacker position before the start of the regular season. In my opinion, somebody else needs to come in. I understand, Jannard Avery probably wasn't too pleased. He thought he should be in front of Alex Highsmith when he comes back in. I know that the Steelers were burned by Melvin Ingram last year with what he did because he thought and felt that he should be in front of Alex Highsmith. However, that doesn't mean you leave the position in such in a dangerous one, where if TJ Watt or Alex Highsmith go down for any significant time, and like I mentioned again, Alex Highsmith has not participated in any preseason games this year, then that's going to be disastrous for this defense. This defense is very top heavy, and in majority of the positions, not the depth is not really well. We'll just leave it to the the outside linebacker position. The depth is not there, and this is a 17-game season. It's a long season. If the Pittsburgh Steelers make the playoffs, chances are they're playing 3 games there. If they go the distance, it's going to be it's going to be a long year, and I seriously think that the Pittsburgh Steelers need to get another third outside linebacker. Now, we did get some clarification on Najee Harris. He did specify that the injury that he had that has been keeping him out of preseason games up to this point wasn't a stepped foot, as reported before. He actually had a sprainless Frank injury on his foot. That's a little bit concerning. That's scary. If we were going into the regular season with Benny Snell and McFarland as the only running back options, then I think the Steelers would be picking pretty high next year in the draft, be honest with you. Especially with the offensive line, how they've not been able to show out. And, TJ Watt and how the depth isn't there in the outside linebacker position. It just would have been super concerning if Najee Harris wasn't there and if Jaylen Warren didn't emerge as a guy, in my opinion. Now, it's still preseason, so he hasn't really done enough, Jaylen Warren, that is, to be considered a guy. But I think he's going to be a guy, a guy that's going to be able to take some plays and rest Najee Harris, especially right now. He, running back takes a lot of physical hits during the game, during the ebb and flow of the game. And Najee, up to this point hadn't really participated, not just, in stadium preseason games, but he was also extremely limited in practice as well, as far as when it comes to, padded practices and things of that nature. So there's going to be a ramp up time to get him going. There's going to be a time for him to adjust to the physicality of the football game. And I think Jaylen Warren you were going to see a lot of Jaylen Warren early in the season. I liked what I saw out of him yesterday. The Steelers didn't seem to want to run the ball. They wanted to figure out who was going to be the quarterback, if Mitch Trubisky was going to be able to be the guy. And we'll get into that now. I liked what I saw out of both QBs. Initially, in the first couple of drives there by Mitch Trubisky, I was concerned. I was concerned that when the defense got the ball back for the offense in scoring position, that they were only managed to be able to get field goals. That was concerning to me. However, this is still a very young season. The season hasn't even started yet. And so if this was something that is continuing to happen about 3-4 weeks into the season, then at that point, it's like, hey, this is becoming a pattern, so to speak. But this early in the season, mistakes are going to be made, things of that nature. In fact, I don't think that teams really get their footing, and you're not going to figure out what a team is or who they are until about a quarter of the season in. And so, right now, them kind of stumbling and struggling, it's concerning, but it's not as concerning. One thing that I did like about Mitch was that he did flash. There was some placement of the ball where he threw that was franchise. I mean, it was amazing. You look at the ball that Diontae Johnson ended up leaving that he caught. He had the safety coming in. The ball was thrown in a position where only one place where the receiver can catch it, and down the sideline, pushed the ball down the field. It was a great pass. And in the second one, well, the next thing that I feel like he flashed in was in the drive to get the TD, the 2-minute drive. I think that drive, I was, like I said, I was on the live with Mark Davison and Devin Engel from the Here We Go show was in the live chat. And he said it first. He was like, I think that drive won Mitch Trubisky the job. And I agree. I mean, he was able to do things that Kenny Pickett was able to do in the drive, before the half against the Jacksonville Jaguars. He was able to stand in the pressure, make a touchdown pass. He threw a pass to Pat Freiermuth that I feel was a very, very – that was an amazing play to get the Steelers down in position to score. I thought he played well. Once he settled down, I thought he played well. And so Kenny Pickett, I don't think he was given. I don't think he was ever really the starter, so to speak, or given an opportunity to start. I think this was always Mitch's job to lose. I've gone back and forth many times with a bunch of guys in referencing Kenny Pickett in this quarterback battle. And one thing that I realized, I think that the Pittsburgh Steelers only played Kenny Pickett one drive in Jacksonville because of how well he performed and because Mitch kind of stumbled a little bit. Mitch played well in a varsity-like setting. He was about to go into the second half. Had they played him again in sub-varsity, he probably would have shown up even better. In a game where Mitch didn't perform the best, so to speak, there would have been so many more questions, not just to Coach Tomlin, but also to the players in the locker room and things of that nature. It would have definitely become more of a distraction, in my opinion. And so that may have led to some of the reason why Kenny Pickett only played a drive last week. But this week they didn't allow him or give him the opportunity to play with the ones. He was strictly with the backups, played a little bit over a quarter. I think he did well, given the situation that he was in. And the placement of the ball that he throws is very accurate. There was a pass down to Boykin, back shoulder pass, in a position where, watching it live, I was, where's he going with it? And I couldn't believe it was caught. And then, watching the replay from a different angle, you see that he put the ball in the perfect place. Now, I think one of the passes that doesn't get spoken about, that I think was probably one of his better ones, that ended up being an incompletion, was the rollout incomplete pass to Gunnar Olszewski in the corner of the end zone. Very reminiscent, and reminds me a lot of Ben Roethlisberger's rookie year when he hit Plaxico Burress in the corner of the end zone against the Dallas Cowboys. And, Gunnar, it was a bang play as far as, I don't even know if his feet were in bounds. It was a little bit high for him. But, George Pickens in that situation maybe comes down with that ball. A first-team receiver, Diontae Johnson, in that situation maybe comes down with that ball. Not saying that Gunnar Olszewski is not a starting receiver, but the caliber that those other receivers bring to the wide receiver room is a step above what Gunnar Olszewski can bring. Nothing to take anything away from Gunnar. And then the last thing I want to talk to you guys about is Devin Bush. I think he showed up today or yesterday. I'm sorry. He was in on the fourth down stop, which that was crazy. I mean, then again, it is preseason, so I don't anticipate the Detroit Lions going for it on 4th and 1 inside their own 30-yard line. But fourth down, about a yard, similar to like goal line situation. Everybody knows what's going to happen. The ball's going up the middle. Devin Bush comes around the corner with speed, grabs the running back's legs, and allows Miles Jack to clean him up and turn over the ball, essentially. He was in the play. He was more around the ball. I thought he felt, in my opinion, it felt like he was more proactive instead of reactive. There we go. In my opinion, he was more proactive. He was getting there. He was watching the play develop and putting his face in the pile, so to speak. I liked what I saw from Devin Bush. I like what I saw from the inside linebacker tandem. I think this defense is going to be good, y'all. I think this defense is going to be good. Alex Highsmith still wasn't out there. Once he makes his return and they get to full strength, I think this defense can be special. We just need to get the offense up to par. So that's all I got for you guys today. I'll be doing a film breakdown once the All-22 comes out. So please keep a lookout for that. We'll be breaking down, the offensive line. In my opinion, they didn't play as good as they should have, especially on the left side. I don't really want to talk too much about the offensive line without breaking down the film because there's so much that isn't seen in just watching the game. When you break down the film and you see what happens, especially when the offensive line, it's easier to break down and not so much to attribute blame, but also to attribute victory and achievement along the offensive line. And so we'll be breaking down later. Also, we'll have Nathan from Hindsight on the show on Wednesday. You don't want to miss it, so please hit that like and subscribe button. Ring that notification bell. With that being said, guys, I'm Daniel J. This is State of the Steelers. Peace.